Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today we have another repeat guest. The last time we had this gentleman on was in the depths of the Melbourne lockdown of 2020. I think it was episode 32. So if this podcast was like a jiu-jitsu belt, I guess we would be maybe a one stripe white belt back then. We got to be knocking on the door of purple belt at least by now, because this is pretty close to episode 180.
Yeah.
So we are really proud to have this guy back on. He's probably one of the most loved coaches in Melbourne. He's an awesome competitor. He has an awesome team behind him at Thomastown Dominance. He is Lincoln Hancock. Thanks for joining us, Lincoln.
Woo! Nothing that way, Vince. It's nice to be back in the world's a little more normal, our new normal.
That's right. Yes. Yes. I had a bit of a quick listen. If any of our listeners want to go back and listen to that last episode 32, as I said, Anton and I were pretty new to the podcast game. We're much more nuanced and experienced now, but yeah, things were pretty tough back then. We weren't sure what was going on. We didn't know when we'd be able to train again. I think we talked with you, Lincoln, about your plans for 2021. Like you were planning to do a lot of international competing and things like that. That had to get pushed back to 2022. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, man, at the end of the day, I guess we're here now. Things are going well. So
yeah,
academies flying, quite big now. Everything's pretty deep. The crew are winning a lot. We're traveling a lot. The world's a little bit different, but we made it. It definitely showed, the abilities that we have as society and as species. We're lucky it wasn't worse, but we're here and all we can do is forge on. So I'm pretty happy.
Man, so glad to see you again. Like right now I'm dealing with an injury, right? And whenever I have an injury, I just think about you, right? I literally I've had all of them. Yeah, you've had all of them. And I've got this vivid memory of you walking up to me with your finger. I think it was your little finger pointing out to the side. And we had that whole not here to fuck spiders interaction. And now, so I've got this little niggling kind of scapular muscle pain, right? And I'm just gonna pop a Voltaren while we're talking and stuff. But I guess being someone who competes, I don't know anyone who competes as much as you, and you're a master. What do these injuries have a ripple effect throughout your life? Or does everything get back to normal? It's like resetting, like your little finger, for example. What does that do for you nowadays, man?
Nah, she's fine. It's quite ugly. I'll see if you can see. It looks like a little.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah.
Okay.
But apart from that, it's all good. But in fairness, you do jiu-jitsu for long enough, particularly in a gi, and your fingers look like this anyway. So
yeah,
the fingers are good. Fingers are good. For the most part, my body's good. They definitely having injuries, depending on how big they are, it definitely has a ripple effect. But both positives and negatives. There's in every challenge there's an opportunity, right? So I guess man, I would be better at jiu-jitsu if I hadn't had all these injuries and so forth. But everyone goes through this. It's not like I'm the only one. But it definitely, I think, teaches you a lot about a whole bunch of things about resilience, perseverance. It teaches you a lot about just taking some of the emotion out. And actually, I got a really good physio. Shout out to Chris Tandy, ex-Melbourne Storm physio, who talks a lot about, I get injured and he's always like, my job is to take the emotion out of this. Okay, so you're upset because you want to train, you want to compete. Let's take the emotion out and have a look at what mechanically we can actually do. So it does teach you a lot about that. Step away from the emotion of I'm injured again, or how long is this going to take, or man, how much is this going to cost? Because that's the thing with it. Right? And it teaches you to kind of calmly analyze and get moving. And I think that just flows through life. Things happen in life, and you have to just step back and assess the situation and plan the path forward, regardless of what it is, and off you go. So yeah, I don't know, man. Overall, I've had 5 surgeries, blah 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 blah. We've all had all this stuff. I got one knee that's a problem. My whole game is built around not being able to do certain things with one leg.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'm good. For 42 years old, I feel great, man.
Awesome, man. You are literally my competing hero. I think about competing and I think about you, and it's like, when I grow up, I'm going to be just like Link. So
aim a bit higher, bro.
I don't need to, bro.
aim like Lovato or something. You know, if you want master, aim like that.
Okay, all right, bro.
Usually is like the midway point.
If I land at you, then I'll be stoked, man. I'll be stoked.
Yeah, but you know what they say,
I'm
Rich?
high for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We'll probably be releasing this episode a little bit into the future. I think your next big international tournament is World Masters. Is that right?
Next week I'm off. Next week I'm off to Nagoya in Japan for the Asian Championship. So
yeah.
So I just did the International Masters Championship, which is like in the pyramid the day before Worlds.
Yep.
And now I'm going to the Asian Championship. So that's September. No, sorry, not September. My bad. July 9 is the day I compete.
Yep.
Leave here July 6. So that's next week, I think.
Yep.
So I'll do that. Really super tough division, which is awesome. So I've got like last year's World Masters Pan and Euro champion in my division, and a couple other tough guys. So that'll be a good test to see where I'm at, along with, you know, the International Masters, making the adjustments I need before World Masters, which is in September. But in between that, I actually have a super fight on Fusion.
Yes.
Fusion FC against ex-UFC fighter Callum Potter, who's a great bloke. And
Yep.
really good.
Wow.
So that'll be fun. Yeah, like in the cage, which I'm not a fan of jiu-jitsu in the cage, but this will be like my third time having a super fight in the cage because it's just what, you know, I guess crowds like or whatever. And that'll be awesome. You know, he's very experienced. He's a very good grappler. He's been in cage many times. He knows how to wrestle off the cage, etc. But it's in the gi. And gi is my specialty, so it's like 50-50. You know, his advantages, I have my advantages, and it's sub only, no points. So we're just going to go at it.
Awesome.
Nice, man. Have you rolled against Callan before?
Yeah, we've trained a fair bit. You know, both me and Cal have been forever, so he was 1 or 2 belts ahead of me coming up. But yeah, we've rolled. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Oh, I can't wait.
Can you talk at all about the North American Masters that was just last month? You did really well. Yeah, you had a really tough final against a guy that I don't know how he was in the same weight class, if I can say that much.
Big unit. So here's the thing, right? This year I've actually fought up a weight class. So I fought heavyweight. I was deliberately trying to get a little bit stronger. So I lifted a lot and I ate even more. Cool. So I've been fighting heavy, whereas my usual weight class is medium heavy. So I'm normally 88.3 in the gi or 195 pounds, and I've been fighting at 94.5 or 208 pounds. So that's what I did for international masters. I thought about making, you know, the duck down to medium heavy, but it's just risky. You to travel and you carry water and all that kind of stuff. And as it so turned out, fortunately, I didn't, because I got there on the Thursday before, and the Saturday night I got some really severe food poisoning, which laid me up for about 36 hours. And it was just no way my body would have handled a weight cut, etc., and come out of that in any kind of decent shape. So that really sucked. I had both ends going for like the first 12 hours nonstop by myself in the Airbnb. But look, man, like it's a bit like the finger incident. You know, these things happen. What are you going to do? So you just have to assess the situation. So I'm there. I'm like, okay, I'm sick. I know food poisoning doesn't last that long. Okay, I've missed training. So the important thing is once I feel better, I can rehydrate, I can eat again and focus on the comp, and it is what it is from there. So I've got IVs and stuff. In America, they have all these little IV clinics you can go to. They're highly expensive, but when you've had 36 hours of no food and you've ejected all the fluids out of your body in various forms, you really need to get onto it. So yeah, I did that. So I rocked up to the comp feeling okay, to be honest. I wasn't feeling that bad. I mean, I just did a super fight. You guys probably know. After having been in hospital with staph, I had a super fight on the last Fusion where I didn't train for 9 days and basically just rocked up to the super fight. And I felt okay then too, you know, like if you've done it long enough, as long as you don't let your mind sort of play tricks on you. Like if you've trained 10, 15 years, what's 10 days? You know, you don't forget jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you might not be 100%, but you're not going to forget. So no point panicking. So yeah, it was a good event, really, really big, really stacked divisions in the pyramid. Everything set up exactly the same as the World Championships. Obviously, barely any crowd compared to the World Championships, because it's just a bunch of old blokes. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't my best day, but I'm happy to take silver on a bad day. So first match I had a guy who I didn't know much about, third degree black belt from Midwest US. That was a pretty uneventful match. He seemed pretty content on not losing badly, but not trying to win, if that makes sense. So I won that one. Then I was supposed to have a really good competitor, a Brazilian fella whose name I can't remember, Rafael Caniro or something. Silver medalist, World Masters, really good guy. He didn't show up, so he got scratched. So then that put me in semi against another good Brazilian from Half Gracie in Berkeley named Newton Diaz. He's very stocky, short guy, very athletic, trying cartwheel passes, all that kind of crazy stuff. I think I'm 10-0 against cartwheel passes at the moment. Well, I've never been cartwheel passes in my life. But
that's awesome.
And when he saw it, I'm like, this ain't gonna work, bro.
We could put a little montage together of that, like all the fail. Anyway,
yeah. Get passed, but not by cartwheel pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, unless maybe if I roll with Nicky Rod. That was a relatively tough match, but I managed to do all the attacking, get on top a couple of times. Won that one and went into the final. Now, the bloke in the final was a monstrosity. Yeah, like there's a photo of me with my hand on his head because I have this thing that I do and I don't mean it. But after matches, I tend to like pat people on the head and almost shoot like that. Looks so condescending.
There's a good boy.
Yeah, thanks for kicking my ass. I'm taller than a lot of competitors, and it just seems to me like an thing to do. And then every time I do it, I cringe. I'm like, I just sunned him. But there's a photo of me with my hand on his head, and the circumference of his head is like, he's ultra nice guy and a very good competitor. And so I won my semi, and then the match after was his semi with last year's medium heavy Masters world champion, who's very good also. Jorge, name I can't remember, but he's an ex-UFC fighter, Strikeforce champion, etc. And he won World Masters last year.
Wow.
And I was actually expecting to face him. He's another lanky competitor like I. And he pulled guard on Felipe, who's the big fella, and swept him. And I'm like, okay, this is going how I thought it would be. And then he got swept back and his arm almost ripped off in the Kimura. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a tough match. Yeah, so then I had Felipe, whose name, again, I can't remember, I'm sorry. Really nice guy. And I expect him to try and take him down, very stocky top player, but he tried to pull to bolo, which was interesting. Maybe he saw that I was pulling, and yeah. I got on a footlock, wasn't there. I went to come up, he called me the cross grip pass on the way up. Ended up passing my guard, which is only the second time I've had my guard passed in competition. So I've had it passed once in Australia. This is a black belt, yeah. Once in Australia, I've had it passed. And then I did get passed actually in a Naga, but I just walked off the plane as an accomplishment of it. Long story. But legitimate second time, and he passed me properly, pinned me. I didn't feel like I was in danger, but we were sitting there for a minute and a half or so. Not much was going on. So I thought, I can sit here till the timer goes and just lose like this, or I can YOLO, try to turtle and come out of it. But he took my back and choked me. Essentially, he beat the shit out of me. So it's the first time I had my back taken at black belt competition, and like he owned me. Yeah. So, but these things happen. I'm happy to fight him again. Hopefully, at some point over the next year, we'll meet up again, and I'll have another crack. What does
your comp prep look like nowadays? Because you are, as I said, one of the most seasoned competitors. Do you have a ritual? Does it matter to you, or are you just kind of? It seems like you're opportunistic. It seems like you know that shit's going to go down, and it's not going to go how you planned anyway. Like it seems like you really.
Yeah, I think this is one of the important things that the competitors time. Nothing ever rarely goes according to plan. Yeah. And there's not much well, sorry, let me rephrase that. There's many things you can't control. So I can't control how my opponent's prepared. I can't control, how the ref sees things to a large degree. Can't control if I'm going to get staff, 9 days before a super fight. I can't control I'm going to eat some bad Chipotle and get, food. But like these things you can't control. So try to let go of them. And just focus on the things I can control. Like I said, in this case, it was rehydrating, trying to get the mind right. And yeah, I wasn't at 100%, but what are you going to do? Go home? Like, I came all this way to compete and to learn. And I still got very good experience from it. In terms of preparation, I used to do camps. I used to really plan my year, and I would plan them around what I would call A, B, and C comps. So if it's a C level comp, which might be grappling industries or a local comp, no training for that. That's part of your training. You just train through the week, you go there on the Saturday, you compete, and you learn. And then the B level comps would maybe be like the Vic champs, the state champs, etc. And the only real difference, a little bit more focus, maybe a couple of days off before, and then twice a year, World Masters and Pan Packs, I would put in a camp. Really focused, structured camp. But we don't really do that anymore. So we kind of were influenced by the AOJ philosophy, and that is to train in a manner that's sustainable, but you're ready 24/7, 365.
Love it.
So we train all the way through the year. And so when the opportunities show up, we just go ahead and compete. Now, the difference really, I guess, is not so much the physical difference, just the mindset will shift. So when when you're a major comp, you're doing a lot of playing, messing around. The only real difference for me as I get close to a comp is a focus more on, winning the role per se.
Yeah.
But that, just go ahead and get the job done as best you can. I think jiu-jitsu, we compete too much to worry too much about preparing for comps. Now, other people have different philosophy, but
yeah, I can say that like a UFC fight as a camp, because it's like you do 2 a year. Sorry, Kim. But I'm not asking the question. But yeah, with jiu-jitsu, you could compete every month. So you're right. It's like
Well, I was going to say.
Sorry,
go on.
I was just going to say, it also leaves more room, again, when things go wrong, for you to get a little bit lost inside your head, right? Like, my camp wasn't perfect. It was never going to be perfect, or I haven't been able to do this, or I haven't been able to do that. You just train your best 365, 24/7, and then you show up, you go through your routine, and you just get cracking.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what are your thoughts around the time difference with traveling? Like, Australia is really far away, and from where the majority of these international comps are. Then the next closest one to us is Japan, which is still 10 hours on a plane. So it seems like Australians nearly always at a disadvantage when they get to an international comp. And financially, it is hard to get there days or weeks before and prepare. How do you take that? Like, do you try and get there a good couple of weeks before to acclimatise, or do you just suck it up? What do you think?
A couple of things. We're 100% at a disadvantage. It's not just the time zone difference, which makes a huge difference. Yeah, we're basically upside down to the US, where the majority of the competition is. It's the fact that in the US, there's more high-level competitors, there's more high-level gyms. So you go to a good gym in Melbourne, for example, and you might have 3 or 4 really good guys. I've been to most people. I've been to AOJ, Artos, a whole bunch of gyms, and there's 20 really good guys. Yeah. So the training level is different. Doesn't mean you can't get it done, and Lockjaw is a perfect example of that. You absolutely can. But the other advantage they have is that they have these fairly big competitions regularly. So, as an example, we might have, say, that people go hard at nationals, Pan Packs, if we're talking gi, because I'll primarily personally focus on gi. Over there, they've got IBJJF Open every weekend. So if they're willing to travel a little bit, they're fighting the other good guys in their division all the time.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I did North American Masters and I'm doing Japan, because it's the same guys I'm going to fight at World Masters. So, or roughly the same caliber, because I'll move down from heavy. I'll do Japan at heavy, but I'll move back to medium heavy for World Masters. And then, the time zone. So for me, I'm a terrible sleeper at the best of times. Like, I don't sleep great. So I always try to go, if it's America, at least like 5-6 days before the comp. It literally takes me that long to feel like a human again.
Yeah.
Japan, we're only 2 hours time difference because the comp is in Nagoya, which is in between Kyoto and Tokyo. The flight's a little bit different, so it's still like 15 hours travel because you have to change planes in Vietnam and all that kind of stuff. But I'm only going 2 days.
Okay.
2 days. Yeah, because it's only 2 hours
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I think I've never competed in Japan, so I'll let you know.
Do you reckon with the, like, and this is a hypothetical, obviously you don't have a crystal ball and you can't live in parallel universe, but the disadvantage that we have in that we have less people and less competitions, etc., does that mean that your body in theory is less susceptible to damage? Like if you are fighting every weekend, does Lincoln Hancock have 10 surgeries instead of 5? Or does he have 3 surgeries instead of 5 because he's competing more often? Like what's your kind of theory on these sorts of...
Personally, I would have had less surgeries if I wasn't such a dickhead. So the way I trained and then the way I recovered, okay, having at the bar is not a good idea. I just had a conversation actually with one of our guys. I won't name names or anything, but one of our really good young competitors yesterday about this. You can't go out in the weekend and put that amount of stress on your body when you're putting that much stress on it Monday to Friday and expect it to perform. And it makes a difference. Jiu-jitsu is very professional now. Everyone's treating themselves like a professional athlete. And if you do that, you're going to struggle. Anyway, no, I don't think so, because I don't know about you, Anton or Kim, but I've never really been injured in the comp. All my injuries have been in training.
That's so true. Oh, Kim has.
Well, for me, I'm the opposite. I've not been injured in training. I've had 2 major surgeries.
You know about Kim's injury, don't you?
Right.
Do you know about Kim's injury?
Example. Yeah, my elbow.
Yeah, I was
there. Yeah, I think everyone saw that.
Look,
but for most people, it does happen in training, 100%.
Yeah, I think the difference. Sorry, go.
It doesn't happen at brown and black. It happens at sort of white and blue mostly. Most people's injuries happen earlier on. Or no, for you?
Most of them, all the way through to brown. But some of my injuries are because of just the general structural shape of my knees. Yeah, I was hypermobile meniscus. They move too much, they get caught, they lock, then they tear. But not to worry anymore because I basically don't have any meniscus. That's the worst. I think like in a comp, this is how I view it. And it seems to be the case for most people in a comp. You're very well focused. You're really concentrating. You have one match and you have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes break. You have another match. Okay. The only real injuries that seem to occur in a comp is when you don't want to tap. And then you want to follow. But in training, you're often doing back-to-back sessions, back-to-back rounds. You're tired. You might do 5 matches at a comp, but that's 5 matches with 10, 15 minutes in between. But in training, you might do 5 8s with a 1 minute break between them. So you definitely, your body's stretched a little bit more. Your central nervous system's a little bit weakened. It's harder to concentrate. And it's just the day-to-day grind, I think. That, at least that's how I see it most of the time. So to answer your question, Anton, no, I don't think so. I think it would only be a good thing. The only thing is going to be damaged, if you're in the States and you can compete all the time, your wallet. That's it.
Yeah, I see the most change. No, you go, Kim. I'm holding you.
We've got so many questions for you. I don't think 40 minutes is going to be enough here, Lincoln. You have to come back for a third time.
Yeah, you can't make it 150 episodes until you come back on again.
That's our fault too, though. We were busy. No, I was just going to ask you about your recovery now. So last time we had you on 3 years ago, you were still in your 30s. Have you felt any difference in the body now that you're 100%. A little bit older? And what are you doing about that?
So definitely I felt really good. Because I only train pretty much with that. I barely train with masters. The only master I train with regularly, honestly, is my coach Dave. But he's a little guy compared to me. And you guys know Kieran Robson-Garth?
Yeah.
So me and
Judo black belt.
Judo black belt, 5-time national champion, jiu-jitsu sec. So he just recently got his 3rd degree in judo, actually, which is a very difficult thing to do. It's not like jiu-jitsu. You have to go through a set test, supervised by a board, all that kind of stuff. And he just 2 weekends ago got his 2nd degree in his black belt as well. And he's about 100 kilo and I'm about 90. So apart from that, I train just with the adults. And in my 30s, late 30s, I felt amazing. No problem. Yeah. I kind of feel like I noticed, I'm 42 now, around about 41, started to change. And it's not that the body is better or worse. The body's probably better because I have a strong focus these days on strength and conditioning. It's just I feel tired more often. So when I say tired, not like physically tired, just like sleep, like an old man, like sleepy tired. So I would say like when I was 38, 39 when we last spoke or whatever it was, I'd have that one day a week where you drag yourself on the mat. Now that probably happens most days. Yeah. Drag myself on the mat. It's mind over matter. Once you get going, you feel okay. But you're not exactly skipping and humming and singing your way into the gym.
See, I skip and hum and sing, but I noticed that I'm never tired, although I will sneak in an afternoon 1 hour nap whenever I can. But I really notice the speed difference between myself and younger people. Like I want to respond. Like my brain is like, okay, I've got to move right now, but the body's just a step behind. You know what I mean? And I just can't.
Definitely. So we know from science and from observing other sports that strength stays a long time. You can be really strong well into your 50 plus. Cardio comes and goes, and you can maintain a lot of that. It's reaction time. It's reaction time and explosivity that you really start to lose. And you see that with boxers, right? They'll be on top, boom, boom, boom. 2 fights later, they're getting bashed. And it's just they lose like a split second of their reaction time. And at that level, that's
all you need.
So I guess I definitely noticed that. I try to compensate. So with my strength and conditioning coach, I do a lot of work around plyometrics, things like that. But also, I guess you'll probably notice this, Anton, is where your game starts to change. Yeah. You know? And you start to play slower and heavier and that. But and I hate the term old man jiu-jitsu, but it definitely changes. I don't think that's a different time for everyone. And I really dislike when people say don't play X game because it's not, what do you call it? You're not going to be able to do that when you're old, or there's no longevity in bolo game or whatever, and usually because they're boloing wrong. But the game will change. It'll evolve. You can play whatever game you want when you're young. That's not the game you're going to play when you're 45 or 50. You will evolve. So you'll change, you'll adapt. That's what we all do. That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, regardless of body type, personality, etc. You'll find the game that suits you, and what you have, the game you have at 25 won't be the game that you have at 50.
Absolutely. In fact, that reminds me, and just a bee's dick of a screen share here, but here this BJJ Fanatics video talks about ageless jiu-jitsu, winning when you're older or less athletic, Bottom Game by John Danaher. It's a really good video for anyone who wants to kind of, dive deeper on what it is that you're talking about right now.
I think he's got a Top Game one too, because I know it's about having your partner really carry your weight, really carrying your weight. Sorry, go on, Lincoln.
No, that's okay. I was just going to fanboy over Danaher. Like, he's an amazing mind and instructor, and in terms of jiu-jitsu on the mat, and definitely has changed the game. And you can see a lot of the game kind of flow with, at least in my brain, others might see it differently, but I see kind of like 2 main sources of innovation over the last sort of 4 or 5 years in the game, and one is Danaher. We saw reintroduce leg locks, evolve those. Everyone went to leg locks. When the rest of the game caught up, he turned his crew back to positional, old school jiu-jitsu, positional. But again, he sort of evolved that, and now we see them dominating to the mount, dominating to the back, and then that creeps into the game. And then the other side is the Mendes brothers. Yeah, I feel like they're the 2 that are really pushing jiu-jitsu. Obviously, the Mendes brothers revolutionized berimbolo leg drag ages ago, but passing's changed a lot in the last 3 years. Like it's evolved a large amount. It's much more technical, and that is largely coming out of that little academy in Costa Mesa, the AOJ Academy.
Interesting. Yeah, I love it, man.
Sensational. I've been there twice. I mean, you don't have to go there. You can watch it. Like Tynan can pass everyone, except Jansen Gomez, it appears.
Cool.
What's a typical week look like for you, Lincoln? We've talked a lot about your competing, but obviously you're a brilliant coach. You're a coach at Thomastown Dominance. You've got heaps of athletes there that you coach. How do you split your time?
Yeah, it's hard. It's something. It's hard, and it's a puzzle that I try to solve or change or adjust all the time because I coach about 20, 21 classes a week. And when you do that and you're responsible for a large amount of students, and as with any gym, a large amount of white and blue belts, you don't get a lot of time to study for yourself. So most of my study and training is on fundamentals because that's 80% of the time you're going to teach fundamentals, right? Yeah. But essentially how it works is, so I'm coaching a minimum. So on an easy day, I'm coaching 4 classes a night. On a heavy day, I'm coaching 5. I don't do privates anymore. Unless it's a higher belt, who asked me, just because I don't have the energy. So twice a day I roll in classes that I teach, as well as do the positional sparring. So I do about 10 rounds a day and about 20 minutes of positional sparring. And then sort of in between classes, I do a little bit of drilling for myself, not a lot, unfortunately. I'm fortunate that Tuesdays and Thursdays lunch class I have off, or lunchtime I have off, so I train at our Abbotsford Academy, just in the class with all the guns there. And or if we have time, we'll go visit someone else. Often we'll head down to Immersion and train with Minnie and Tingy. They're incredible. They're like
awesome.
Man, Minnie, like Dave Marinakis, I always say he's like Melbourne's best kept secret. Like the guy is so good. He's incredible. So yeah, we do that. And I do a lot of study, but like I said, most of the time what I'm studying is for my students, but sometimes if I want to get better at something, I'll study it and teach it. And that will help me. And then, 2 to 3 days a week, I'm doing strength and conditioning as well. When I say conditioning, there's no conditioning, it's just strength. The jiu-jitsu is... Yeah. Is that kind of what you're asking, Kim?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to stay away from the little kids class, the 5 to 8-year-olds. I have plenty of coaches who are very, very good. But honestly, I find it hard emotionally. Like, I have sessions off and I just miss them. They're just awesome.
Well,
kids.
That's probably an appropriate time then for me to say, I texted Macca and I said, come in and say hi to Link on the podcast. And he's like, at the gym, but tell him I said hi though, man. But
what a legend.
Yeah, Macca's a weapon nowadays, man. He's like doing MMA. And he's
awesome.
Yeah, he's just loving life, man. And just like, you are such a huge part of our childhood, man, or his childhood. And and my entry into teaching jiu-jitsu, actually. You know what I mean? Like, really, man, like just you've been such a huge impact on our family, man. I can't thank you enough. We are getting close to the end. There's 3.5 minutes left. So what is important to you that you would like to communicate to everyone out there, man? Like, what's important that you think?
Oh, God, man, there's so much. There's so much that's important to me. I guess it depends on what you want to ask. I guess in terms of jiu-jitsu, just enjoy the journey. Like, remember why you started. You didn't start because you wanted to be a badass or why you chose jiu-jitsu. You could have chose Muay Thai, judo, wrestling, kyokushin, whatever you like, but jiu-jitsu was the fun one, right? So when times are tough on the mat, just remember that you joined to have fun, make training fun. Just enjoy being with your teammates, take the pressure off yourself. Don't be a dick. Unfortunately, and I know it's done to build this commercial side of the sport, but I'm not a big fan of the way the no-gi scene is heading in terms of attitudes and stuff. A lot of shit talking. There's a lot of moving away from that kind of martial arts ethos, and you could argue that's how jiu-jitsu started, because to a degree it did. But I think we're better than that. We've evolved. Should treat everyone with respect and enjoy the journey.
Beautiful, man. I
appreciate it. That's probably a really nice place to finish off. And I was saying before you joined that we've got a couple of other episodes banked up, so we may not have this episode out certainly till after you're back from Japan. But it'll be before you get to Vegas for Masters. If you could share this on your social media, we would love that.
Oh, of course.
Help grow our audience. And yeah, we look forward to maybe having you back on for a third time.
Absolutely.
To share some more knowledge, because yeah, this has been fantastic.
And
Thank you
actually,
so much for giving up your time.
Yeah, and as a note, as a side note, you were the highest performing in our first 32 episodes. You were the highest performing. Let's see if we can back this up, bro. Let's see
I don't know now. It was the middle of COVID. No one had anything else to do, right?
I know we've actually got followers and listeners now. So like I said, I reckon honestly, if we were a belt, we've got to be close to a purple belt.
Yeah, that's right.
We've been doing this every week for 3.5 years now. So yeah, we're getting
it's not easy. I've done a little bit of podcasting. It's hard.
Yeah,
you have, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah, you made it easy though. Thank you so much once again. And yeah, good luck in all your upcoming comps. And yeah, look forward to seeing you around. See you on the
Go pat those guys on the head, brother. Go.
I'm going to try not to. Thank you.
There you go.
Catch you later, buddy.
Bye.